Spring practice winding down this week in East Lansing. Michigan State getting set to enter year 2 under Jonathan Smith after he came over from Oregon State. Came up one win shy of a bowl game in his inaugural campaign a season ago, hoping to take a step forward in 2025, starting August the 30th against Western Michigan. And Jonathan Smith joins us now. It is time for our big interview. Coach, appreciate your time. Again, spring practice wrapping up, I guess, tomorrow. Give us a sense of where you feel like your team's made the most progress.
Yeah, I think we've made progress in a lot of different areas. You think about really both sides of the ball. Started with the line of scrimmage. I think in this league, you got to continue to progress and be solid there. I like where we've headed through 14 practices here in the spring at the line of scrimmage. Some of the additions really on both sides, creating some competition there. But we're counting on growth, development in really every spot. And I know we only get a short amount of time, but I feel like throughout spring, every spot gained some depth. Guys are growing and getting better. We feel good about it.
Well, whenever you talk about a football team, there's obviously going to be a ton of focus on the quarterback. It's just the nature of the sport. It's the most important position in the sport. And your offense took some strides last year. You inherited an offense that really struggled the year before. You brought Aiden Childs with you from Oregon State. He certainly had some really good moments. Where have you seen him make the most growth from the end of last season through spring practice this year?
Yeah, he definitely, you talk about moments just because of his athleticism, his talent. He's got some real talent. He can make all the throws and all those things. And so finding ways to, like, when the play's not there, to not make a play worse. I think he's grown in his confidence, timing in regards to this offense, the passing game. And the guys he's throwing it to. There's a comfort level, obviously, with Nick Marsh and some of the new additions. These guys have put a lot of work in, getting on the same page. So Aiden continues to grow, feel really good of the work he's done this spring and heading into having a big summer.
I know you have a new quarterbacks coach in John Boyer, who was at Oregon State, had worked with Brian Lindgren, had worked with Aiden, had worked with you. How big a difference has that made for him?
Yeah, I think it's definitely helped. He had a relationship previous, with John. We'd worked with John for really 5 years back there at Oregon State and does a great job with the quarterbacks, being able to drill down specific techniques, teaching in regards to progression and all that. Lightens the load a little bit for our offensive coordinator, Brian Lindgren. Again, those guys are still tag teaming, but having John to be able to tighten up on any kind of details, specifics. John's a great teacher that way. And knows our offense, has brought some good ideas this spring that we've implemented, because John's been a coordinator before, and so it's been a huge addition for our offense and, particularly the quarterback room.
In general, the NCAA eased the limitations on the number of assistant coaches that could be on a staff, and I know you increased your numbers here in this past offseason. How does that change things in terms of the efficiency and in terms of the coaching and the teaching that you're able to get done in the spring?
Yeah, I think it's a great, rule. It really just takes the handcuffs off of some of your younger coaches that you have. There's a lot of people in the building that can contribute out on the practice field or in the meeting room, and now the handcuffs are off. And so the efficiencies helping really younger coaches continue to develop, allowing for more voices, more ideas in really all, both sides of the ball, each position group having really two people partnering to run that room. I think it's been great.
I want to ask you a little bit about your running back group, and you talked about the offensive line, and of course that impacts Aiden, it impacts the wide receivers, it impacts the running backs as well. But you lost Nate Carter, you lost K'Ron Lynch-Adams. Those were your two top runners from a year ago in terms of yardage. Aiden would be your leading returning rusher. So give us a sense for that room. I know you made one pretty significant addition. You got some young guys you like. How's that all fitting together?
Yeah, we do. It was pretty competitive, and it's still going in regards to that room, because we've got really 5 guys in the room that we feel like we got some talent. We're on the younger side. I mean, with 2 true freshmen came along with 2 other backs that are in their second year, and then bringing Elijah in, having some experience at a different place. So we feel like we've got some talent in that room. It's pretty competitive and earning these carries and where that goes. But right now, it's a kind of by committee until one can, kind of separates himself, and we got some time till that takes place. But we feel good about the talent, and that's going to be an important room, because we do want to have some balance on offense, and running the football is vitally important.
And going back to kind of your initial answer, when I asked you about areas that you thought you had improved and that needed improving, you went to the lines of scrimmage. So I feel like we've talked a little bit about the offense. How about the defensive line? It was a little bit of a weird year last year in terms of pressuring the quarterback. You got off of that hot start, then you went a half dozen games without a sack. And then at the end of the year, it felt like maybe you guys figured it out a little bit and got some more pressure on the quarterback. And I know it's not simply a function of the defensive line, but you had expressed through the course of the year, you felt like you needed to be better on the defensive front. What did you see in the spring, and what could Spartan fans expect there?
Yeah, we've got some guys that have taken a step. Jalen Thompson's had a great spring, because you need to be able to affect the passer, and it can't just all come from blitzing the guy. And we feel like we've got some depth in that room to be able to rotate, keep these guys fresh. They can go hard for multiple snaps and then be able to feel confident come out, because we got another guy to get in the game. Rukron Buckley has had a good spring. Ben Roberts is a guy that can be around it. Quindarius Dunnigan, again, another returning player, played a lot for us last year, has taken a step in his game. So it's by a group that we feel like we're going to be able to stay fresh, and we need to be able to get up around the quarterback when we don't just call pressure.
I'm going to leave you with this, Coach, kind of big picture. This was your first year in the Big Ten. It was interesting. It was your first year coaching in the Midwest at all. You had been a West Coast guy throughout your career, including your time as a high schooler and as a player in college at Oregon State. So what did you learn about the Big Ten in year one that you think might help you as you move forward?
Well, you definitely learn a ton, right, in year one, in a lot of different areas, pride, tradition, passion of the Big Ten and that football, being able to experience for a year was great. But also knowing that what this league entails. This thing is competitive, physical on both sides. We got some elite coaches. I think some skilled players in this league that are talented as all get out. And so you learn what it looks like and where you got to take steps in your own roster, your own schemes. But feel good that we're ready to do that. After learning in year one, experiencing, did some good things, some things we got to do better. We've emphasizing those, and feel good that going into year two, we're going to be better in a lot of areas.
Well, really looking forward to seeing the Spartans in action coming up here this fall. I know things are really busy this time of year, particularly with that critical final practice coming up tomorrow. Really appreciate you taking out some time. Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, always great joining you, Dave. Thanks.